this. Okay. If you're watching this, you've already seen the final production of Him by Her. And this is the main production team. This is Romnick, Kapu, and I'm Bo, and we're all family. But they are also the face and the labor behind Brave Ass Scaredy Cat production company. I know that I'm gonna include in this kind of a montage of all the practices that we had to choreograph the dancing portion of the video. And then this is the end of day 2, the final day of on-set production. And day 2 we've done at their home in their studio. And we're able to refine and finalize some of the pieces that we weren't able to pull off when we were in Buckley's studio. But we're gonna talk about like the highs and lows. Ooh, the vision first.
Yeah.
Would that be best?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the vision for the music video. Do you want to? It feels weird like handing it off to you two because
do you want to kind of
for,
share some of it on your end in terms of the
Yeah.
music, and then how we interpreted it in
Yes.
terms of
yes.
the film?
So I met with Kapu initially, and she knew the song, so it was easier to not have to kind of reintroduce her to the music and the feelings behind it, the origin of the song for me, but that's not necessarily what I wanted to put in the video. I just wanted to inform the feeling, the visuals. But we knew we wanted movement and dance together that would express it, but that it would switch back and forth between the dance and this vignette scene that was ever evolving. So it really was just that, and those pieces as we choreographed dance, as Romnick came in as a videographer and helped us figure out how the movement of the camera could enhance the dancing. So I'm not a professional dancer, she is, that could like help not just like fill in the gaps, but also add value in spaces that like would be really difficult, if not impossible, to do just as dancers. And then the vignettes portion, the visuals and stuff, as we were dancing and coming up with things, Kapu would message me and be like, they talked, they had ideas of lighting, movement, visuals, what the vignette would look like instead of it just being like one singular scene. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah.
Did I explain too much?
No.
Okay.
No. No, I think in terms of the vision and just how we ended up, breaking it down was weaving together these vignettes, which, especially with having a day 2 production where we got to build more of the vignettes, is kind of like these parallel expressions of what's going on. So the dance expressing this relationship with you to this personified anger, and then in the vignettes having this depiction of like growth in this almost like dreamlike world where it starts with you more bare and alone, but in this kind of, for lack of a better term, womb-like space, and then me being incorporated in different parts, but then you starting to grow and bloom as this like evolution that gets weaved through the footage of us, which feels a little more harsh and bare. So that was the idea, and I think, I really loved this song ever since you put it out, and I remember listening to it on Maui in the Pacific Northwest room and dancing to it when you like first released it, and I was like, I love this song. And then being able to take it and envision it into what a doubles dance would look, which I think was like honestly my like favorite idea for it, where it's not just one solo dancer, but to have it again personify this relationship you're talking about with anger. And then Romnick and I talking about like we like to picture things in color and texture, so having starting kind of monochromatic but not so monochromatic that it's like we're all dressed in red and we're all solid, but like building it in, and this idea of fresh and like old blood, where how blood oxidizes and turns into like a darker, which now I don't have any of that on.
We had darker red, maroons.
Darker maroons, and like that being a very symbolic thing between us, where it's not necessarily you're all solid, you're the new and I'm the old, but with a relationship to yourself and to your anger, this symbolism that it's a mix. It's all new, it's all old, it's always this
I didn't want it to be purely like a antagonistic relationship with Kapu my anger in the dance or the vignette. Like I didn't want it to be like this, here's the evil thing, and it needs to be completely rooted out. But it seemed like there was like I almost just said a dance.
A dance, but like, I feel like this
an ebb and flow of it, where it starts. They're like it becomes tender.
And I felt like, and this is the fun part I feel like about producing and getting to choreograph is how my relationship to the song and music and Romnick's will be different from yours, and then being able to find those spaces of where it connects.
Yeah.
And to me, I've always heard the song, the way I've heard it has always been through this lens of like this push and pull relationship rather than I'm good, you're bad, I need to not be in relationship with you, but this more, let's find a new way.
Yeah.
And this is how it's been, and I understand why.
For sure.
And as somebody who's been to therapy, I feel like it's
sorry, that laughing was not at there.
No, but this like renegotiating the parts of you and what they have to do from how you grew up and what they did and like how they protected you to what you need them to be now.
Yeah.
That's how I interpreted this song. Was like, we've had this weary, difficult survival relationship, and now I need you to be here for me in a different way. And I liked embodying that.
Yeah. I actually have a question for you.
Yeah.
Unless you were going to say something.
No.
Because the two of you work together on a lot of productions with Kapu, with your dancing, your choreography, how has previous like work as a videographer in different studios and outdoor spaces, like what did that teach you coming into this production? Because I witnessed it from the outside, looking at a lot of like recalculating and knowing like what you wanted to do, which I feel like has to have been informed by like former projects.
I mean, I like working with her because I can be pretty honest. You know, I don't have to.
Same, because
I don't have to like beat around the bush, like, you know, not. I don't have to say it nice.
Yeah, and I can be like, you're in the light. Get out of the light. Whereas both of us, I feel like when we're working with other people, want to make sure that we're not stepping on people and that we're protecting the relationships and the like, I don't have a better word, but the goodwill between team members. And sometimes that is about being sensitive about communication, but obviously because we know each other really well, that we forgive each other for being short when we're on set, but because that is often is usually the biggest factor is how much time do we have.
And I think we have our own roles too. Like, she's more of like she has a vision, and I just kind of add to it. Like if I can't do that. Like I can't like envision stuff. Like that's harder for me.
And
like
he,
full picture
in terms of like videography, I don't want to carry all the things, so I'll have a very much of a director's like, this is the shot I'm envisioning, and then he will take it and either go, this is what doesn't work, or this is how we could make it better, or this isn't, we don't have the to make this happen, let's like troubleshoot. And it's like one brain between the two of us.
Well, I watched a lot of you're in my light, you're stepping on me, stop doing that,
and this?
No, it is
where I would just
looks,
like
but the fact that the two of you can ebb and flow like that, like there's a lot of energy that gets put into production with tending to relationship in it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you two aren't tending to it, but I can only imagine that if you're not spending energy on always tiptoeing around that stuff, that you could just do your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not be like constantly stopping and being like, I'm checking on stuff.
I think it's important too that like we don't always, in our previous stuff, I feel like the thing we've gotten better at is just knowing what's worth struggling for, or like what are the things worth getting irritated and saying something about, because I think especially what we've done and working with like, okay, we're going to take the resources and things we have and we're going to make the best of it, is often it just means improvising.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's like, I feel like it's awesome when you can have everything planned out, and then also depending on how you're doing a production and what you have available as you go, and we're going to figure out as we go. So it's like, cool, this is what we imagine for lighting, and you prepare as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then you get into a space or you do something and you're like, this doesn't work.
Yep.
Let's pivot.
Highs and lows of the entire production, kind of like around the kitchen table, dinner time conversation, like your day's high and lows. So we're gonna do that too. So it can include
We can add entire one.
the what?
Entire, like
The entire-
day, shoot one.
Yeah. So we had shoot 1, shoot 2. So
Space
day
out.
day 1 was, I know the date for sure because it was our older sister's birthday, May 17th, at a studio we rented out in Portland.
Is it only?
Oleo Lab. Yeah. Thank you for specifying. And on that day, it was Kapu, Romnick, myself, and then Medina and Regan came in. They helped with production on set and some behind the scenes photos and vlogging, things
were
like that.
great. They were
They're
great.
amazing. And I'm not going to totally talk about all the stuff of that day because I think it might be in your highs and lows.
Yeah.
And then day 2 is today, and we're in their place. And I won't even show you around just yet, but that's one of the beauties of creative production, especially if you have time and you don't have to also rush against a crazy like deadline, is if you could only see like the pieces that are making this world. Like this feels very otherly, but like, what did you agree
We're
with?
gonna start with lows
Okay.
because I think it's nice to end on the high. Oh
There.
yeah,
Whoa.
There.
Yeah. Do you want to start us
Lows.
off? What was your low? Between
Lows, I think for setup, like the first day, it was just trying to figure out like where to position you guys, because there was one piece in the shot that like couldn't be moved elsewhere. So
there's
it was-
a piece of furniture.
yeah,
Yeah, in the space.
and so then we had to change up the lighting.
The lighting didn't work that we
Yeah.
had planned.
And then we had to like position Bo and Kapu like differently. Right? Like it still looks good in the frame. Yeah.
Yeah.
That took a lot longer. That took like an extra hour
Yeah.
to figure out.
Which feels extra stressful when you know that you're paying
For time.
not on them, but like you're like, we have this paid amount of time, and
Right,
that includes
yeah.
both
Yeah.
Was it
setup
4
and
hours?
tear down.
Yeah.
4 hours
Yeah.
to do basically a complete refiguration of a studio. Build the production,
Build the
break
set.
it down, reconfigure the studio. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is like it was
And
exceptionally stressful.
and like I was gonna say, building off this is my low. I think it was not the space, but there had been, I think, just not a miscommunication between us and the studio, where the side of the studio they thought we were gonna be on was opposite of where we were filming.
Yeah.
And so it was not oriented, or it was not prepared, that maybe furniture that would have taken more time to move beforehand. So we just had to on the spot kind of figure out, how do we make this work, because this was not originally how we were going to shoot it, but now we're going to make it work. And that's the part where I was like, you just have to improvise.
Yeah.
And then with that, because it wasn't the exact way, the lighting didn't really work. So we had to pivot with the lighting, and all of that means eating up a bunch of time.
Yes.
Which makes me very anxious, because you know, like the heart of a production is you have to kind of stay, if you're paying for a space or have a space for a limited amount of time, is you have to be able to manage time.
Yeah.
Or else you'll end up with either a huge bill or not getting the shots you need, and then you have to worry about the issue of continuity if you come back to filming later.
Yeah.
And so that's a whole beast in and of itself. So that was probably my low, was just having to pivot after preparing as much as we could, was having to pivot on so many fronts. And personally, in how we run our production, is I really, really like to honor and commit to the timeline I give to the people I'm collaborating with, to the people who are production assistants, and to have to say, this is not going to work and we have to extend or pivot, always feels like asking for, like, that's what I tried not to have happen. So it feels, I don't like having to ask for that. It worked out,
Yeah.
and it was great, and I'm happy we improvised and we committed to
Yeah.
what we were looking for, and also the low is just I would love to be able to accomplish everything on the timeline
Oh yeah.
that was originally agreed to.
Yeah. And I think that we have very ambitious. I like this. I like that when we were all planning, we had ambitious goals for the production, but holding those also within the realistic confines of time and budget and respecting our commitments to people. Like if you ask them to be this long, if we have to go longer, I have to be ready to just go without them.
Yeah,
Like, am I
yeah.
willing to? So Milo is the same
Yeah.
as your guys'. It was and probably mostly around. I anticipate that those. I don't know, you guys do too. That nothing goes to plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think the low is just what I always feel like will be a part of any production. You can just minimize it, but it's just trying to figure out how to ground yourself in moments like that, so that the stress of time moving and not enough work getting done, like you're getting off schedule, not absorbing that in a way where I become a stressor on you, or on you, or Medina, or
that it
Regan.
reads in the footage.
Yeah, because the goal was like we're really trying to take advantage of that, and part of the stress is like, you're like, do we have enough time? But if I let it dictate my mood, then the likelihood that whatever we do create looks like a flustered, angry, irritable Isabel, I'm like, I'm making it worse.
Yeah.
And then if I project that onto you both, or onto Medina and Regan who are helping out, then, because I think the product for me, and I know for you, is not just the final art piece. It's like the people you get to work with, and I really, in those moments, the low is just the amount of energy it takes to make sure that everyone is actually well and doing good. I'm gonna go loop to my high from there, if that's okay.
Go for it.
Beyond the colors, because I feel like this is just visually, like, I'm just so pleased. There's a lot of pleasure for me in, like, the lighting and the fog and the angles and the movement. All pluses. I just will always be, like, ride or die the team. And I just felt like with all the challenges of time and budget and the creative vision kind of switching up as we got there, that overall everyone in their particular role just hunkered down and didn't just like hunker down and be like, I guess I'll do my thing. It was like so much pivoting was happening and people were just flexible in a way. It was like, well, this isn't gonna work, and instead of it being like, well, now we have to talk about, like, it was never like, oh, this is gonna be impossible, the project's done.
Yeah.
It was like, okay,
Okay,
what do we do next, or what can we do?
Yeah.
And that is like, I'll take that any day
Yeah.
over a really shitty team with a 24-hour window at a studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my high. My high and my low.
Woo.
Ping, ping pong.
Do you have a high? You want to go your high?
My highs. Like having these two, like some of the shots that we got, and
I think the shots are your high. Like what
Yeah.
you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
The
good.
happiness.
yeah, like getting pretty stoked about like the shots that I got, and even with like the time crunch too, like we were still able to like laugh and like joke around.
Yeah.
Like we weren't just like, okay, we like it's business, like let's not like play around, and we still had fun too. So
Agreed.
And hustled. Yeah.
The shots were really good.
Yeah. I would say my high is being proud of the things we did really pull off, because you can have, at least this is what I've learned with dance, is you can have all the time and the set and the lighting and everything great, and the dance to just not be clicking,
Yeah.
and like all the little details of it to fall apart, and then be like, well, we have really great beautiful visuals, and yet I hate every single shot, or like nothing's hitting it, or the camera's blurred. Like we've had things, technical problems, and then you're like, this footage is great, but like the one take where we looked good in this, and then it didn't work out. And to be able to do like I think it's really one of my highs was that we were dancing, so you're under all this stress, and then to get to move your body and get to like move through it was a high, and then also just to see the pieces come together, because like it's kind of like based on what you're saying, the shots, the team is like to have a production where you have so many things go sideways and to still have really, really good moments and really great shots and really great chemistry between the team members is a really big high. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
I'm taking off dry lipstick.
no, I feel my like I'm like, if this camera was closer, everyone could tell that my lips look like a alligator. But yeah, and I'll add this high is like it's always such a like really gratifying process to see a vision like brought to life. So to get to see, especially with day 2, getting to spend more time with like makeup and costuming and all these things and really build it up and see that idea come to life.
Yeah. And like things that you, I think seeing anything go from such a small flicker of an idea, a meeting. Me, I was nervous for the dance. Not nervous that I wasn't going to try, but nervous that I was going to try and I was going to give my best and then I was going to see it on camera and go,
Yeah.
it's not what I perceived it to be. And I know that that's not even just because we practiced a lot. I know that has to do with Romnick preparing. I know it has to do with the technical and the visual set that was built. So I have a lot of gratitude that I just feel like everyone kind of gave themselves to like their specific creative bent for this. And I want to like prop these two up. I'm going to make sure you're in scene. I wasn't in scene as if my phone is
Scene.
The two of them together for Brave Ass Scaredy Cat, in my experience in this way of interacting with them, because obviously I interact with them as family, like not like this. We don't always dress up like this when we hang out as family.
What do you mean? Always dress like this.
Or have this lighting. But in my experience so far in creative productions, it is a spectrum of like you want spontaneity. You want people to be flexible enough that they leave open room and gaps for the whatever the creative expression is to like evolve. So if something wants to be performed or said or expressed and it wasn't on paper, you have to like find a way to build in room for spontaneity and mystery and like what is it going to be like when everyone gets together and all these pieces get together. But to work on any production when it's more than just yourself, if you want it to actually coalesce, you need specificity and you need planning. And I think often for artists there's this fear of like if you plan too much, you lose the magic that creates art. I know I don't feel like that's the most eloquent way of saying it, but I don't agree with that. But I do believe if you plan too much, then it becomes rigid. And then someone in the spot could be like, but what about this? And someone's like, it's not on the paper. We can't do that. And these two walk that very delicate balancing whatever line that is, whatever that chord, people walk across canyons. Tightrope. Thank you. Balancing line of specificity and spontaneity. And it makes it exciting to jump into a project like that because you're like, I know that we're all directed towards the same vision, but with different tools, and there's room to flex, but there's also this feeling of like, we're gonna make this. Because anytime something switches up, they're not gonna be like, well, wasn't part of the plan, so we can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, so.
And I feel like that's so true though, that like having gotten into plants during the pandemic.
Oh, plants?
No, it's like I feel like that's kind of how I see the projects. It's like you prep all the factors that you can, and then the growing is like the spontaneity. It's like we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
So, it's fun.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. We're gonna eat dinner.
Ooh.
And then clean this up. And then I'm gonna drive home like this and see what people say.
I'm coming up.
I think, Romnick, you need to have some tool on you too. The two of you together for this. If you haven't watched the video yet, here, wait.
Just two little heads. My head still looks
Get it?
giant.
Tool, get it?
Two little heads.
Two little heads. If you haven't, stay there. If you haven't watched the video yet, I will put it in the info box below or tag it in one of these corners, whatever it's gonna
Go
be.
watch it.
Please go watch it. Let us know what you think. If you have horrible things to say,
don't watch it.
don't watch it.
Go
You
watch
don't
something else.
Go watch something else. But if you liked it or it landed, let us know. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know.
Lean and pivot, 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 and lean. And pivot, 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 and...
Look at my legs.
Ouch, oh, you okay? More, but I'm thinking if you could turn the corner right as you come down.
Till all these foes get out. Heard silence. All my anger. She is tired. She's old.
Wait till you see what I just did. Hello! I couldn't figure out what to do with my feet, so I'm just doing this.
No.
All my anger. She is tired.
She's clearly forward.
I was like, Alexa, Alexa.
So for the sake of this one, obviously don't hurt yourself, but let's try to go as like big.
1, 2,
As
3,
possible.
4. Wait.
I'm
1,
really
2,
intense.
3, 4.
Yeah.
This thing is gonna drive me nuts.
I'm looking at my hands, but maybe you're looking forward. I think we should look forward when we sway.
Mhm.
Let's see that. So I go sadness, and then left, right, left. Boom, 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 boom. Ah. It's gonna be weird to look. I'll figure it out when we
Look
record.
like I have a possum on my head.
Waiting has bled her out. In her place, there is sadness. In her stead, only madness.
You're gonna laugh? I jumped forward.
A little hot pot.
I jumped forward, don't. Oh.
So that we actually just use the push and pull.
All the way back here.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Or really commit.
I'm trying not to.
No, it's your good.
Anger, she is tired. She's
Own phase 2.
Phase 2.
black and blue eyes. I have beaten my own face to a pulp. They cried possession, but it's obsession till all these ghosts get out.
Yeah.
She cried out into darkness.
But it answered in silence. Silence, you should be arriving, looking straight.
Still up.
Been a minute practicing exaggerated heaving.
Oh, heaving.
Yeah. I like how you kick me when you're embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed. You go, okay. Okay, you know, because this is like the acting, yeah. That for that last part, we will look straight to camera.
Black and blue eyes. I have
Left, right, left, center, push. Down, face, two, pull.
They cried
Pull, snap.
possession, but
Turn,
it's
head,
obsession
center,
till
center,
all these
reach.
ghosts get out.
I'm gonna take my socks off.
Useless or like this.
When you come off, to like bring them to your sides before, so you don't end up, when you sashay, drop them down to your sides versus bringing them forward with you. Let's try that out.
Stand.
Her out.
Turn hands.
More back, more back.
There
Yeah, there we go. Let's try that again.
Turn hands. Turn.
It's getting worse. I'm getting in my head.
music. Through your spine versus, yeah, because if you sink down
Oh, I'm on my toes.
your toes,
Wait, when you do that, like.
booty to booty, melt, say arms down to your sides, and yeah, and if I get here sooner, then I have time to do the head lower, then the hand. So let's try that with music now.
Black and blue eyes.
I was like, don't stop prematurely.
She cried out into darkness.